Greetings from Brussels, Belgium. It's my privilege as the U.S. Ambassador to the Kingdom of Belgium to officially welcome you to this online, interactive Memorial Day ceremony as we join together to honor the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. This Memorial Day is very different. These are unprecedented times, but even as we come together on this virtual platform, missing the opportunity to gather in person, our reason for being here is in no way diminished. We will always stand together to honor our fallen heroes. This past year has been particularly poignant in that we marked the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge in Bastogne last December. That decisive battle was the midpoint in a year-long campaign that began in Normandy and ended in Berlin. While American soldiers fought and died throughout that offensive, never did they do so in as great a number as here in Belgium. The American military cemeteries in Belgium, which serve as the final resting place for 14,000 U.S. veterans, are a silent call to remembrance for us of the full sacrifice made by so many young Americans. I'm honored that this Memorial Day ceremony, while different from previous ones, is also a first. You'll be able to experience the traditions and the heartfelt gratitude that bring meaning to Memorial Day in Belgium each year. Deeply moving traditions kept alive by Belgians and Americans since 1923, such as the school children of Waregem, who sing our national anthem at a stirring ceremony in Flanders Field American Cemetery, where 368 of our World War veterans are buried. Although that public ceremony will not be possible this year, its traditions continue. Please rise and join me and the children of Waregem in the singing of the national anthem of the United States of America.
Oh, say, can you see by the Downsbury light what so proudly we held, and the twilight's ghastly, whose first stars and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ranks we watched their so gallantly stream, and the rockets red glare, the waters they in air, gave through to the night, that the flag was still there. Oh, say, says our spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
O dierbar Belge, o heilig land der wateren, onze ziel in ons hart zijn nun gewijd. Aan waardans kracht in het bloed van onze aderen, wies ons doel in arbeid en in strijd. Bloeie land in indracht niet te breken, et onhonsible unité. O rapu de viser immortel, le roi, la loi, la liberté. O rapu de viser immortel, le roi, la loi, la liberté. Le roi, la loi, la liberté. Le roi, la loi, la liberté.
Your Excellencies, dear veterans, ladies and gentlemen, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. Today, we remember the sacrifices made by our American allies who came twice to liberate Belgium and Europe against the tyranny and the barbarism. 6 months ago, we were commemorating the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge, the bloodiest battle ever fought by the American army on European soil. I remember my moving encounter with the American veterans and their testimony on this occasion. More than 13,000 of their brother-in-arms rest in peace on Belgian soil in Henri-Chapelle and other military cemeteries. Today, once again, we remember what we owe them, our freedom. They paid their life for our liberty. We need to make sure the legacy is not forgotten. We must continue to work together to ensure that no future generation will have to make the sacrifices that these soldiers and airmen and many others buried around Europe did. Today, we, Belgium and the United States, must continue to work together to address the current and future challenges of our world. Thank you for your attention.
In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
Greetings. I'm Bill Matz, Secretary of the American Battle Monuments Commission, which has the distinct honor of overseeing 26 military cemeteries and 30 federal monuments throughout the world, including 3 cemeteries in Belgium. The purpose of the American Battle Monuments Commission is to commemorate the service and sacrifice of the United States Armed Forces, not just this day, Memorial Day, but every day. And we do so by tending the graves and memorials of our fallen servicemen and women, and by preserving the stories of their deeds and of those that fought beside them, courageous actions that bequeath the blessings of freedom to generations yet unborn. For ABMC, this Memorial Day is a historic moment. Not since World War II have our sites been closed to the public on this day, a day that has been faithfully and respectfully commemorated at our sites as the distinct day it is. A time when we pause and remember those who gave all on behalf of our country, family, allies, and friends. During my recent visit to Belgium to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge with the King and Queen, the Prime Minister, and the Belgian people, I was reminded that the success of the ABMC mission doesn't just lie with our amazingly dedicated staff. It lies, too, with our amazing partners throughout the world who ensure that our fallen soldiers are never forgotten. Thank you for pausing with me this Memorial Day to honor the fallen. Together we remember.
Présenté. Porté.
For every stone we see here today, there are countless others that remain both known and unknown, which tell us similar stories. Together with ceremonies at Flanders Field and Ardennes American cemeteries, we share this weekend of remembrance with 151 U.S. national cemeteries around the world. On Memorial Day, under normal circumstances, friends, families, and volunteers visit these cemeteries to place flags and keep the memories of our fallen heroes alive. For those who cannot attend this year, I'm honored to stand in for them in some small way. Peace is only at risk when individual citizens lose sight of the intrinsic link between freedom and duty. Our brave soldiers interred at Henri Chapelle understood that connection and paid the ultimate price for it. For them, we renew our commitment to remain duty-bound and to work towards a Europe and a United States that remains free and at peace for decades to come.
Every year at the end of May, Americans pause wherever they are around the world to memorialize and pay special tribute to the sacrifice and courage of U.S. service members who fought and died in defense of freedom. Today we remember almost 14,000 American service members who were buried here in Belgium, as well as over 950 who could not be identified or went missing. These brave heroes endured some of the fiercest fighting the world has ever known. We also use this occasion to recognize the special relationship and friendship between our two countries. For over a century, the Kingdom of Belgium and the United States have been strong allies. Through 2 world wars, the Cold War as founding members of NATO, and today as we fight violent extremists who threaten our way of life. In this cemetery in Ganshoren are 2 heroes who exemplify this relationship between our countries. Downed American airman Jerry Sorensen and Belgian resistance fighter Roger Abels fought and died side by side in September of 1944, not far from here. Dr. Jerry Sheridan best captured their shared values in his book when he said, "Both young men believed that all people should live in a world of freedom and democracy, where human rights and the rule of law are protected. Both knew that these values transcended national borders. Both felt the responsibility to defend their values. And ultimately, both were willing to die for those values, despite the fact they had so much to live for." These 2 heroes exemplify the values for which Americans fought and died in Belgium. We memorialize these heroes today by rededicating our own lives to the very values for which they fought and died. We owe them a great sense of gratitude and debt, a debt we will never fully be able to repay, but we will never forget. May God rest their souls.
Of the 14,000 American servicemen who are buried in Belgium, 15 are buried outside of the large American cemeteries in what are sometimes called isolated graves. Each of these men has a story. Sometimes their families back home requested that their sons be buried with the Belgian families who sheltered them before they died. Sometimes their families requested that the remains of their loved one not be disturbed. Some are buried in British Commonwealth war graves cemeteries. Still others were Belgians who had emigrated to America, joined the American Army or the American Army Air Force, and died as Americans. Although they are buried apart from the other Americans in the large cemeteries, they are certainly not forgotten. Citizens from the local community throughout the country visit their graves throughout the year. Each year, the American Overseas Memorial Day Association in Belgium holds Memorial Day ceremonies at each grave. This year is no different. While the pandemic canceled all of the typical public gatherings that we hold on Memorial Day, 1 or 2 officials or private citizens, with permission and with carefully respected public health and safety guidelines that are in force in their communities, carried on the tradition to honor these men who gave their lives for our freedom.
Il arrive des moments comme celui-ci où l'on se retrouve tout seul pour commémorer la mémoire de ceux qui se sont battus pour la liberté, qui en ont même payé le prix de leur vie. Et aujourd'hui, la pandémie nous met presque dans des situations comparables aux situations de guerre où les bombes tombent. Ici, l'ennemi est invisible et tout le monde s'en méfie. Je suis honoré de pouvoir aujourd'hui commémorer la mémoire des jeunes gens qui, eux, pour défendre la patrie, en sont morts. Le sergent Sorensen et son ami Abels de Gansoren. Sorensen, venu des États-Unis, a laissé sa vie ici en Belgique, en Europe, pour la liberté. Et je pense que chacun doit y penser.
Hello, I am Mohamed Ridouani, the mayor of the city of Leuven. Each Memorial Day in Belgium is an important day for the citizens of Leuven because each year we do remember Donald West, and we keep his remembrance in honor because he's the symbol of all those who gave their lives, that made so many sacrifices for peace and for the future of us and our children. So we will keep doing that in the future because especially today it is so important.
Donald West was an American from Fresno, California. He was a pilot in the United States Army Air Force, but was assigned as a detached service to the British Royal Air Force. West and his crew were shot down over Belgium in 1943. They are buried here. On Memorial Day, the people of Belgium remember him.
Raymond Opsomer was born in my city. In 1909 he emigrated to America and he lived in Wayne County, Michigan. When America entered the First World War, he volunteered for the American Army and he died fighting for our liberty in August 1918. On Memorial Day, the people of Deense remember him.
My great-uncle, Octave de Smet, was born less than 100 meters from where we are standing now. He immigrated to America in 1912 and lived in Gladstone, Michigan. In 1918, he entered the American Army. He died fighting for our liberty during the Battle of Meuse-Argonne.
Op Memorial Day herdenken de inwoners van Anzegem onze Amerikaanse soldaat Octave de Smet, die gestorven is voor onze vrijheid.
Gilbert Malray was born in Central Falls, Rhode Island, and his family moved here to Ronse when he was 9 years old. When World War II began, he returned to America and joined the United States Army Air Force. He was the navigator on a B-24 Liberator and he was shot down over Romania in 1944.
On Memorial Day, the people of Ronse remember him.
Joe Farina was from Highwood, Illinois, and he joined the US Army in 1943. In the autumn of 1944, his battalion was quartered here in Comble-la-Tour. Joe stayed at the home of the grandparents of Danny Fahy, who is standing here with us. Joe Farina was killed in combat during the Battle of the Bulge. Each Memorial Day, the citizens of Armoire remember Joe Farina.
Joe Farina est originaire de Haywood, dans l'Illinois. Il a rejoint l'armée américaine en 1943. Joe a logé chez mes grands-parents pendant 3 mois. Et Joe a été tué au combat pendant la bataille des Ardennes en 1944.
On Memorial Day, we are here in Weret to remember the 11 African American soldiers who were killed on December 17, 1944. And it's at the memorial erected by Hermann Langer, and we want to lay some wreaths down to make a special honor on this day. It makes me feel very good, and I'm always happy when I'm here. And it's also for us. It's going on with the work that Hermann started in '94 by erecting this monument. So we're going on with his goal to honor those 11 soldiers.
As a soldier, I think it's important to commemorate those who had gone before us and who have made the ultimate sacrifice for the world we are living in. And for me especially, being the grandson of somebody who went through World War I and World War II and who told me a lot of stories, my grandmother who told me a lot of stories, every time when I come to a cemetery like this one, I hear the stories again, and I really think that it's very important to keep telling those stories, because the witnesses of what World War I, World War II and what conflict has done to the world and has done to this part of the world, those witnesses are sadly enough fewer and fewer, and we have to keep telling on the stories so that our children and the children of our children know what people who attack liberty and democracy, what that will represent.
I'm a 97-year-old veteran who served with the 36th Infantry Regiment in Europe. Today we honor millions of military personnel, beginning with those who fought and gave us freedom in the Revolutionary War. Even though this is my 74th Memorial Day when Taps is played, I still choke up and at times am compelled to be seated. Close to my heart in memorial are the 88 men killed in my infantry company. I served and created a bond of loyalty and trust with many of these 88. And to see each one killed took a little something out of me, which I'm not sure has ever been replaced. Robert Morris and I were searching for a sniper among the ruins of Cologne when Robert was shot in his shoulder and bled to death, leaning against my knee as a medic tried frantically to stop the bleeding. As a memorial to Robert and Richard Baum, killed in Cologne also, I was able to light a candle in the beautiful dome for each of these two close, trusted friends. As I sat in that large cathedral after lighting the candles, I memorialized the death of each. Robert would never find his love, marry and have children and grandchildren such as I. Richard left a wife and a 2-year-old daughter who would never feel the love he had for them. This 2020 Memorial Day, I will give thanks to all military personnel who have ever served, making this beautiful country truly the home of the brave and freedom for all. I will also mention a few of my bonded brothers who gave their all as members of our infantry company. I will salute all these soldiers with great appreciation and emotion. These soldiers will never hear the bugle call again or know of this Memorial Day, but we will hear and remember.
It's always a big emotion for me and for the people of Boston to honor the American soldiers, to honor the veterans. The Battle of the Bulge was the bloodiest battle in the history of the American Army. It's a great honor for me to honor the veterans, to honor the soldiers. We are free. We are free thanks to the American people, the American soldiers. And Boston is the most American city in Europe. We'll never forget. We'll never forget the American people, the veterans. Thank you very much for our freedom, for our freedom.
Thank you for joining us for this solemn Memorial Day ceremony.